Hello and welcome back to the channel. I have ordered a couple of palms right at the end of the season. We have a Phoenix roebelenii, which is the one on the right, and a Chamaerops Humilis, which is the one on the left. They were both ordered from Gardening Express, which basically does like a lot of online plants, quite reasonably priced and everything. You do get some of the specimens which are a bit kind of forced grown, but you still ultimately, for the money you pay, you get a decent sized specimen, which, unless you go to a real specialist nursery, yes, you can get a little bit bigger, but it will cost significantly more money. So these two palms were reduced in price, as I say, like an end of season kind of sale. So the Phoenix roebelenii on the right hand side was reduced from, I think it was originally £59, or yeah, I think £59 for that one, and it's basically half price at £29.99. I think if you buy two of them, you get them at £25 each or something like that. The advertised size is between 90 centimeters and 120. The specimen I got's about 110 high, including the pot. The Chamaerops Humilis on the left-hand side was advertised at 140 centimeters to 180. Mine's about 145 centimeters. But I'm still really pleased because this one has, they've both got three main trunks on them actually, and the Chamaerops Humilis has got three sort of equal sized trunks, which I'll show you now. So just starting to mature. So ultimately this one will be a really nice specimen. It can either go in a pot or in the ground. I will probably end up eventually putting it in the ground, but I'll keep it in a pot probably next year so that I can move the plant around a lot, and then just basically find its final kind of resting place. So yeah, as I say, the Chamaerops Humilis on the left hand side was originally advertised at £179, I believe. It's been reduced down to £79.99, something like that, which for the size of the specimen is actually quite a decent price, and ultimately it will be a fantastic looking palm and not one that's going to go absolutely massive and, you know, outgrow its space. So the plan for both of these is to overwinter them in my greenhouse, which will be heated probably till about 5 to 10 Celsius. Sort of 5 will be the absolute lowest, when it's potentially about -5 outside, just to keep a bit of heat in there. To be honest, the Chamaerops Humilis, it's reasonably frost hardy and can stay outside all the time, but because this may have been grown in a lot warmer country like Spain or Italy or something, or it might even be grown in the UK, but it looks like it's been sort of forced a little bit because the actual leaves and the stalks are pretty long on it. So yeah, so I think ultimately for the money paid, they're two really nice specimens. I'll just show you a little bit closer. So you get a decent amount of leaves on these, and as I say, the highlight for me is the fact that these are in threes. I think the trio of stalks looks really good on palms, and they'll ultimately grow to be a fantastic specimen. Again with the Phoenix roebelenii, which is a Pygmy palm. It's part of the sort of date palm. On there you've got one massive trunk, and 2 kind of equal sized ones. This particular plant might actually end up going in my summer house because I love that soft foliage on it, and I think it won't get huge. And in the greenhouse is kind of like the spa area. In the summer house is the sort of spa area. And yeah, in the winter, yes, it gets cold, but it doesn't get too cold in there. And I can always move it into the house if I really need to. Yeah, so 2 great specimens from Gardening Express. Highly recommend if you can sort of overwinter things. I think they've got some Phoenix Canariensis at I think £26.99, which are really nice, decent specimens, quite large. This here is a Phoenix Canariensis, which is in a big pot, currently growing. But this one cost me about £89, but that was right at the start of the season, and I'm hoping that this one, well, I know that this one's going to basically be sack trolleyed into my garage on the coldest of nights, just to give it a little bit of protection while it's younger. But ultimately, once it gets bigger, it will become a little bit more frost hardy, and I hopefully will find the space in the garden to fit it in, but God knows where, because I'm pretty rammed at the moment. So yeah, I'd say if you can overwinter these things, it's good to get them at the end of the season because they're significantly cheaper. You can just put them in a greenhouse. Most of these plants will be fine in an unheated greenhouse. They're not going to grow really at all over winter. So what you're basically doing is making sure that you've got a cheap specimen, and B, it's a specimen that come spring it will be, you know, in a really good condition, which you would have had to have paid a lot more money for in the spring anyway. And let's face it, in the spring everybody wants palms, everybody wants to put them in pots. So yeah, it's good to get ahead of the curve with that. It also helps because you get great availability as well. You know you've got that palm for next year to get excited about. And to be honest, even if you've got space in your house or conservatory, or you know, even a garage, I mean my garage has got a window in the back of it so it lets some light in and stuff, but anywhere that's sort of a bit sheltered, you can just, usually they stay relatively dormant, so you can just whack them in there, water them very, very sparingly over the winter, because obviously too much water in there will rot them off, and it will also, you know, water freezes in the winter, so if it gets very, very cold in there, it will cause you issues. So what I will do now is I will just show you where these are going to go, or at least where the Chamaerops Humilis is going to go, and that is into my greenhouse, which I'm currently sorting out, getting some stuff in there. So this is the greenhouse, which I bubble wrapped in the spring, I think it was. So I've put the 2 massive Washingtonia robusta palms in. They're in fairly big pots with a really decent trunks now. And I've also, it's not completely necessary, but I've put some of my smaller, rarer kind of Trachycarpus palms. So I've got the Princeps one and some hybrids as well. And I'm just literally going to try and keep the frost off them this year, so that in the spring they can get going. As you can see, I've got my lemon trees in here as well, and I've also put some alocasia and colocasias in, anything that's a little bit frost sensitive. And you can see I've also hung up my sort of bromeliad. I've taken those off of the branches in the under the lilac, and I've just wired them onto the back of the greenhouse, so they get some light in there. There'll be some humidity in here as well. And I've got all kinds of things like the rice paper plant there. What else? Bougainvillea, we've got one of those in here, and everywhere, every nook and cranny has lots of like little plants in there. So I will fill this greenhouse and put the I've got a tube heater which we'll put in here as well, so it'll be kind of like a mini jungle. And to be honest, in the winter time it'd be nice to sort of come in here and have a look at the sort of nice leaves and stuff and just think of the spring. And just outside the greenhouse I've got one of my dwarf Chinese bananas which is going to squeeze in there. Oh yeah, there's a olive tree at the back which will go in, and here's some of the little palms. I think that's the Princeps one, and this one here. Now this monster, which is a Washingtonia palm, the pot is too heavy and too big to go in the greenhouse. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to keep it fairly near the house, and any frosts that we get I will use this amazing device here which I got off of Amazon, and that will take a hell of a weight, that sack trolley, and I will basically sack trolley this particular palm. And just going down the garden, bear with me a minute, have a look at the palms as you go. The Braha Amata here is in the same size pot, massive pot, very heavy, so that will get sack trolleyed in. And the Trithomax, I think this one is. So that one last year actually was out in kind of about -3, -4, and it was absolutely fine. So this one and this one is going to basically wheel into my garage. Just go past all the jungle stuff. Yeah, so this is the back of my garage. So I've got windows on the front and window on the back. So it will be placed in there during the very, very coldest of nights. And these two Inseti bananas will have most of the leaves chopped off. And actually you could probably see this a bit better now. They're in pots which are semi in the ground. So yeah, a lot of these will get chopped back to kind of this level, leaving a decent stalk on there, and that will hopefully winter them. And yeah, we leave a few leaves on there so that they can still kind of lose some of their moisture, but ultimately you've got to keep them a little bit drier in winter to stop them rotting away. So that's the plan on there, and yeah, I'm going to carry on moving my bits into the greenhouse. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and please don't forget to subscribe. I'm getting quite a few subscribers at the moment. At this time I'm up to about 340 something, and the plan is to, once I get to 1,000, I can start to sort of invest in the channel a little bit more, and I will do a future video about what I'm going to invest in, and basically the types of videos that I'm going to produce next year, and the general direction of the channel. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I will see you next time.